Hey peeps, just a quick video here. I am sitting here drinking my Cummins coffee early in the morning, getting ready to start this for you. This is just going to be a quick intro about set up your calculator and getting ready to start the sine and cosine graphs. But today we're going to look at sine. So here's your packet. The first packet here, we're actually going to this page 1. We're actually going to jump to the very last page, which is page 14. We're going to start with that. We're going to start graphing sine of theta. So f of x equals sine of theta, or y equals sine of theta. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we are going to go into our window and change our window. I have to go old school here. I took a picture just because the app needs to be reinstalled on my computer, and it is not. So hit the window button. We are going to, that's covered up there, our x min is going to be negative 360. Our x max is 360. The x SCL, and I'll show you, that's the tick mark on there. That's going to be 90. Our y min, y max will be at negative 1 to 1. And then we will go ahead and leave our y scale at 1. Unfortunately, I don't have the app on there, but I'm going to go to Desmos here for a second. So for those of you that use Desmos there, kind of like that, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go to graphing calculator. Okay, the wrench button is where we're going to change things. I'll do that in a second. So on the y equals screen on your calculator, just type in sine of x, and you'll go ahead and graph, and you'll get a wavy thing on your calculator. You won't see all of that. You will probably see, you'll see something like, where is it? Like the, oops, I can't. You're going to see in this range here, you'll see a couple of curvy waves here. So if you're on Desmos, I'll just show you here. You click the wrench and you can change it. I'll go put a negative 360. Whoa, holy cow. To 360. Whoa, something's crazy going on. But notice here, it's in radians. I'm going to click on degrees. By the way, you should be in degree mode on your calculator. Most of you are probably in that, but that's where you should be. So we should have roughly the same thing. The only thing I will do is I will go here and change this so we have the same exact look from negative 1 to 1. So we all should have the same graph. It looks like we got these two swoopy things, two swoopy parts here, and it hits here at negative 360. That's right at 0. Hits here somewhere at 0, but it hits the 0. I mean, it hits the y-axis, the x-axis, sorry, and hits it here. So I'm going to go to our graph. So looking on page 14, you are going to go ahead and put this on your paper. Now just have that in your calculator. Let me just change this here. We're going to add a few things on here. On our tick marks, every tick mark on your calculator was 90 degrees. So this is 90, 180, 270, 360. Generally, get off there. Okay. I'm going to put 360 here. I'm going to put 180. If you put 90 and 270, that's fine. I'm also going to put negative 180 here and negative 360 here. In each graph, we may change it slightly, but that's generally what we have here. So what I'd like you to do is I'm going to go back here. You can just look on your calculator. We're going to go ahead and try to copy this from your calculator right onto your paper. It does not have to be perfect. Don't worry about it. We're just getting the basic sine graph. Okay, so I'm not even super worried about it. But a couple things. Obviously, we have some high points, some low points, and x-intercepts. Let's look at our high points here, our zeros, where it looks like across here at 0. I'm sorry, negative 360. That's 0, and that's 360. So if I were to put this here, negative 360, 0, and 360. And we've got a point up here and a point down here. This right here, if I kind of zoom in, it's easy for me to zoom in here. That looks like it hits right at 180. And on yours, on your calculator, you should see that it's going to cross right here at this tick mark and this tick mark. Okay, and you're going to see starting at negative 360, it's going to go up. Oops, my bad. It's going to go up and come back down and cross here. It's going to go down and come back, cross right there. And this, now we're at 0. We're just going to repeat. Looks like it's the same exact repeating pattern. And it's going to look like that. So that's not super smooth, but that is what the sine curve looks like. You can certainly pause that. I wish I had the app. I have to install it, but I have to call a computer guy. So I wouldn't have this done for after your quiz, and what fun would that be having a quiz without a video after? Okay, so that is the general sine curve. It's wavy. Notice there are no sharp points. I'm doing the best I can. When you're in class, I promise I'll have a much better graph when I'm standing up, putting on the smartboard. I'm just sitting down right now. Not my best way to do it. And the scouting report says I'm a much better sine curve drawer when I'm standing up. All right, so now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to zoom out. We're going to just graph this again. However, what we're going to do is, notice I've chopped off the left side here. So let's go into your window and change your X min to 0. So we're only going to graph the right side. So we're basically looking at, we're basically going to graph this side right here. Whether you can do that by hand or if you want to change your window, fine. Just go ahead and change your X min to 0. Leave everything else the same. So then what we'll have here, this is 360. Oops, I'm going to go with the same color coding. This is 360. This is 180. Again, I'm going to graph that rough. So that's very rough. That's very, very poor. You deserve better than that. Just trying to make the video not so long here. Okay. That's what you have there. Don't worry about it being perfect. We're going to talk about it. And in class, I'm going to see this is very swoopy. Some of you are going to be very swoopy graphers. It's not super swoopy. It's nice and curvy. That was a good curve there. But we'll see who's a good curve drawer and who's a swooper. Okay. So that is your basic sine curve. Okay. We're going to talk more about that later on. What I'm going to have you do for work is you're just going to use your calculator and change some numbers. As you can imagine, just like with any graph, we're going to start adding numbers in. We'll put the numbers in, and then you'll just go ahead and adjust your graph, and those numbers will tell us some basic things about how the graph changes. Okay, so now we're going to go to page 1 here. We are actually going to skip this entire page today. We will do that together. I'm going to see I've got a lot more decimals here, a lot more numbers here. We're going to talk about how and why the curve looks like it does. So I'm going to have you go to page 2. And as I mentioned, this is going to be done with your calculator. So you're going to graph the following functions. They're all sine curves using your calculator. It says in radian mode. For now, we're just going to leave it in degree mode. You don't have to cross this out, but we're going to leave it in degree mode. Okay, so this is your window that I have over here. Don't worry about it. We're just going to do everything in degrees. So we're going to keep this at 0 to 360. The X scale, that's pi over 2. That's 90. We're going to leave the same thing. So every tick mark on your calculator and on my sheet here, these 4 red dots are every 90 degrees. Okay, so now the only difference is we're going to change our Y min and Y max from -3 to 3. Notice I put 3 tick marks on here, 1, 2, 3, and -1, 2, 3. So just do the best you can and try to think about how the numbers in here, the 2 in this graph, the 3 in this graph, the 1/2 in this, how that affects the graph and what it does to that. So how high up you go. You can always use a trace button on your calculator or the second calc value button to see, like when X is say 90 or whatever, how high it is, and you can go ahead and check that. Now, give me a second here. I'm just checking off this here. Let's get page 1, page 2. Okay. So then you're going to go ahead and put in Y equals, if I go here to Desmos here, I'm going to change my window from -3 to 3. So then all I'm going to do is I'm going to make this 2 sine x. You see it goes up a little higher, and maybe not so coincidentally, it looks like it goes up to the height of 2. Okay, and notice here with the decimals, it's nice. The one thing with the scale on decimals, this is in hundreds, but this max point is at 90,2. So you can use that here, and if you do like decimals, you can very easily see where the low points are. You can see where the x-intercepts are. Okay, so this one bad thing about this is the hundreds and 200s kind of throw things off. It's not as easy to see because you don't have the tick marks that you have on your calculator. So you'll go ahead and graph this, although the only difference here, let me just go here. Your X is starting at 0. So we're only having one part of that. Oops, what happened there? 0 to 360. Oops, somehow I unclick my x-axis. There you go. So you're going to look kind of like that. So you will go ahead and do that for these graphs right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See if you can answer this question. How does the A affect, see right here, sorry, I forgot to mention that. We're putting in a sine of x. Just like anything, we're sticking a number in front. How does this number 2, 3, 1/2, that's a -1, -2, -3/4, how does that affect the graph? Okay, after you do that, after you've got these 6 graphs, I would like you to try these by yourself. Try graphing these without your calculator. You can always plug it in and check. Notice here, and we will talk more about this, on the bottom, I do not have any tick marks. Let me zoom in here. We're generally still going to use, I didn't put it on here, we're still going to use, whoa, this is going nuts here. I don't know what's happening here. We are still going to use 360, 180 there. Still going to keep the scale as 9. But notice I did not put any tick mark, any values on the tick marks. There's only one tick mark, and we'll talk about that. I want you to go ahead and graph it. It's going to be up to you, but hopefully you have an idea of what that looks like. Okay, then you're going to go on to page 2. So Roman numeral 3. So notice here that we have sine of bx. So now I've put the number after the sign kind of attached to the x. Okay, so what I would like you to do, it says adjust your window to show one full period. We're not really sure what a period is. What I would like you to do is just graph whatever it shows on your calculator from 0. Now I have 2 pi here. You put in 360, that's perfectly fine. We're going to start to transition to radians, but if you leave 360, leave in degrees, that's perfectly fine. So if you want to make note of that, fine. If you, most of us are good and recognize those are the same thing. By the way, for whatever reason, I'm not trying to trick you here. I did not put, for these 4 graphs, the pi and 2 pi, so you can just go ahead and do that. Okay, so go ahead and you keep the same window, graph these, and see what it says. Now notice here, in this last section here, you will need to change your y max for these. Okay? Oh, hold on, timeout. I'm sorry, nope, timeout. Boom, I do that nice fancy design. You are going to need to change your x max. Okay, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I would like you to see one full curve that goes up, one full wave that goes up and down and comes back. Okay, so you will need to change your x max for that. Okay, so you will go ahead and do those. On this page, you'll do these 6 graphs. I would like you to try to answer those questions at the bottom. Try to fill that in. And then you are going to stop here. So you are going to just work on pages 2 and 3. Do not worry about anything else. Try to answer these questions. If you don't get them right, no big deal. We're going to go over them together in class. Okay, thanks. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. Hope you did well on the quiz, and I will talk to you later. Peace.